What we're going to talk about in today's video is why 4 payments are often better than 1 payment when it comes to funding a whole life insurance policy where your goal is cash value. So what we're going to look at is an individual who is currently 60 years old. He has a lump sum of money in the amount of $300,000, and he's interested in putting that $300,000 into a whole life insurance policy primarily for the cash value. And the reasons why is because he's used the cash value as a safe place to grow his money. He can access it anytime without any penalties at all. And it's also tax-free if we do everything correctly. That's 100% focusing on the cash value. He also views the death benefit as a very valuable asset from a long-term estate planning perspective too. But with that said, he's interested in the cash value for the reasons he just mentioned. Which one do you think is the most appealing? It's the last one, the tax-free piece. So with a life insurance policy, if we do everything right, we can access it tax-free. However, in red here, taxes can occur. If his life insurance policy becomes what is called a modified endowment contract or a MEC, taxes can occur. How it works specifically is if I want to access the cash value in a whole life insurance policy, and it is a MEC, the gains are taxed as ordinary income, and I have to pay an additional 10% penalty tax if I'm under the age of 59 and a half. So how do I prevent the MEC from occurring? Well, every policy has what is called a MEC limit. Simply put, this is the maximum dollar amount you can fund a policy with per year. So if your MEC limit is $10,000, that means the most you can pay into the policy is $10,000 per year. Side note on that MEC limit, any unused MEC space does roll over year to year. So if I don't max fund it every single year, the years that I didn't max fund it, those dollars roll over and I can make catch-up contributions, which is nice. That's an IRS rule. However, the insurance company that I have my policy with does need to support catch-up contributions. Not all companies do. But that's a side note. Back on track. What determines the MEC limit? This one's fun. There's a lot that has an impact on the MEC limit. Here are 2 major contributing factors: your age and the total death benefit that your policy starts with, or that you start your policy with. So with the MEC limit, there's another name for it that's very important when we look at the numbers in this case study. It's referred to as the 7-pay test. What this means is the first 7 years of a life insurance policy. Now, the 7-pay test is something that's ongoing with a life insurance policy. There can be multiple 7-pay tests. There are multiple 7-pay tests with life insurance policies. But if we're funding a policy with a lump sum for 7 years or less, we really only need to be concerned with the first 7 years, which is what we're going to look at today. So here's an example. If you say, I want to put $100,000 into this life insurance policy, I don't want to spread it out over 4 payments. I just want to write a check one time for $100,000 and be done with it. Can I do that? The answer is yes, you can do that. Should I do that? Probably not. So let's assume at your age, you need a death benefit of $1 million in order to get you a MEC limit of $100,000. Here's the issue. After you fund that $100,000, you now have a $1 million death benefit. There's a cost to keep it at $1 million. My question would be, if I'm a consumer, can I just reduce the death benefit to lower the cost? Here's where the MEC rules come into place. If I reduce the death benefit to an amount less than $1 million before the 8th year, it will MEC. This is assuming you personally needed a $1 million death benefit to get a $100,000 MEC limit. Your age is always going to have an impact on that. If you're 30 years old, a $1 million death benefit might only give you $20,000 or $30,000 in MEC space. Depends on the company product and such. But the point is, if this is what you need to start to get this, we can't reduce it until the 8th year. So we have to keep the death benefit higher, which does come at a cost. Okay. So if I made the rules here's what I would say. Let's set the policy up where I can pay a lump sum and then just reduce the death benefit in order to reduce the costs. However, I do not make the rules, unfortunately, and I have to follow the IRS rules around the modified endowment contract. And what that means is if I reduce the death benefit during the first 7 years, my MEC limit will also reduce. And if I have a policy where my MEC limit was 100K, I paid in 100K, and then I drop the death benefit and MEC limit during the first 7 years, a MEC will occur. That's even if I'm not paying anything into it anymore. So a MEC can occur if I pay nothing, but if I drop the death benefit, which is good to be aware of. Very technical stuff. I promise it's all going to come together. So the ultimate problem and why one payment does not work well here is because I have to keep that death benefit high for the first 7 years, I still have a premium due, which means I might not pay it, but if I don't pay it out of pocket, it's going to be covered through the dividends and interest in the policy. I refer to that as drag. I've got this big expense that's slowing down my cash value growth. It's not working. So how do I work around that? We're going to show you exactly that. So we've got our 60-year-old individual. What we're going to examine is as follows. First, what he wants to do. Can I just make a one-time payment of $300,000? If I reduce the death benefit immediately, it'll MEC. Okay, I know I can't do that. So show me the limits here. A one-time payment of $300,000. I need a 300K MEC limit. At 60 years old, that means I need a death benefit of $3.6 million. So a death benefit of $3.6 million for a 60-year-old male gives him a $300,000 MEC limit. I'm going through this because you're going to see this high death benefit of $3.6 million. That's the minimum we can set it in order for him to be able to pay in $300K per year. Next, the premium will be at about $30,000. So of that $300,000, $30,000 is going toward the premium. The other $270,000 is dumped into PUAs. After he makes the one-time payment, the premium is still due for 7 years or through policy year 7. That's drag because he's not going to be paying for it. It's going to be paying for itself years 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Here's the alternate option. Break the lump sum up over 4 payments. That's $300,000 divided by 4, which comes out to $75,000 per year. Funding $75,000 per year, the death benefit I now need is $900,000 because I don't need a $300,000 MEC limit. I only need a $75,000 MEC limit. So by spreading that lump sum out, I'm able to reduce the MEC limit, which reduces the death benefit, which reduces the costs, which means you'll have more money. Makes sense? Fun stuff. And then here's the other piece, referring back to the drag. The policy only has to pay for itself for 3 years instead of 6 years. Let's take a look at the numbers. So here's illustration 1. We've got a 300K lump sum. Here's his premium. Here's his payment, 300K, pays in nothing after the first year. Okay, let's look at this on Excel as it will be a bit easier. And there's a report that I want to go through with you here. What do we notice here? Here's the annual funding. A one-time payment of 300K. What's your cash value look like? Column in green. About $263,000. That is a $37,000 loss in the first year. Is that attractive? No. I wouldn't want that. Now the next year, he pays nothing in. Cash value was $262. Now it's $268. So it did grow a little bit in the second year. Grew by about $5,500, $5,600. But then what do you notice here? Well, the cash value growth, this shows what it is growing by every year, begins to go backwards. He's losing money. And he continues to lose money through policy year 7. Here's the reason why. look over here on the left. You've got your base premium and then also a term insurance rider. A term insurance rider is being used to inflate the death benefit, which prevents a MEC from occurring. So a term rider is a low-cost method to raise the MEC limit. Now, it's a renewable term rider, so it's increasing, which, by the way, comes out a whole lot cheaper than a level term rider in this particular example, and most examples. But when we look at this, what is circled or boxed in red here are the expenses that he is not paying. The policy is first covering that and then coming back into cash value, which initially it's just too high. That's why it's going backwards. The expenses are outweighing the gains. Now, after the 7th year, we chop the death benefit down. We eliminate the premium. It's no longer even due. We exercised what's called a reduced paid up option. It's gone forever. So we have much less in life insurance, but it recoups over time, and the cash value begins to grow at a much faster pace. However, you don't get your money back for a very long time, not until he is 70 or 71 years old. Okay, so that's the first option. Now, why we have that 10% premium is because a lot of the top companies allow us to set it that low. With that said, some companies, like Guardian, who we're looking at in this example, allow us to start with a large lump sum. So they will actually allow us to set our base premium. In this example, it's $6,000, and then we can pay 50 times that. So what's 6,000 times 50? Give you a hint. 6,000 times 5 is 30,000. So if it's 6,000 times 50, add a zero, $300,000. Fun way to do math, right? As a result of having a lower premium, 300K goes in. There's my first year cash value. This option will look better than the last one we just looked at. Let's take a look here. This is just a different version of adding a lump sum. So here we go. Same 300K out of pocket. Look at the cash value. Instead of $260,000 and change, you're at $281. Instead of a $37,000 hit, it's about a $19,000 hit. So we really improved things by reducing the premium. We still got to make a one-time lump sum payment. So if he says, I don't want to pay anything after the first year, this option can work. And you'll notice the next 2 years, I'm not in the red, but then we run into that same problem. Starts going down in value. Like if we see this, that's not good. And this is based on the current dividend scale, the non-guaranteed values. If you see the guaranteed values, you want to throw up, or it just goes down too fast. This is why we recommend not doing this. Age does have an impact, by the way. If we're younger, this won't look as bad. But back to this, why that goes down over here. The red box, you've got the premium that is being covered by the earnings and the term insurance rider. So first it covers that, and then comes back into cash value, and it's just not enough juice. That's too much drag for too long, where I start to go backwards. And then eventually what happens? Once we chop the term rider off, the value begins to increase, which is good. Still not that great though. And just look at this. It's about 10 years down the road before you get your money back, your 300K. That says it all. So, theme of this video. Why are 4 payments sometimes better than 1 payment? Let's look at the 4-payment illustration, shall we? So as we look at this guy, what do you notice with this? 4 payments of $75,000 per year. That's 300K over 4 years. Here's your premium. So it's a little bit higher than the last one. What about your death benefit though? Just a touch over 900K. So much less than life insurance. First year term cost is less than $1,000. Let's look at this on Excel. This is where it gets fun. So you've got the same funding, of $75K per year for 4 years. This is that same illustration. Here's the total funding. By the 4th year, you have funded $300,000, and by the 4th year, you have more than $300,000. To the left, you've got your premium and term rider cost. There you go. How's that look compared to the last two examples? It's a lot lower. The policy is easily able to cover that and have earnings kicked back into cash value. We do see when we stop paying, takes a little bit of a dip, but then recovers. And once we chop off the term insurance and we reduce the death benefit, starts to grow even faster. This is the yearly cash value growth. It is the total dollar amount we are receiving from the insurance company. So we looked at the exact same product in all three scenarios. Let's look at them side by side. And this provides a breakdown of where your money's going. You can see the premium, term rider cost, and then also the PUA payment. The example where we got the money in slower looks the best. The reason why is because the 4 years that you were paying into that policy, you were covering the premium. You were covering the term insurance rider. Guess what happens to the premium beginning the 2nd year with this product? Comes back to cash value. It's not like a auto insurance premium where we just pay it and we only see a benefit if something bad happens. No, but the whole life policy begins to come back to work. With this product, it begins the 2nd year. But we're covering the drag. Now, by the time the 5th year comes, our plane is already off of the runway. We're flying at a fast enough speed where it can easily carry that extra weight. And that weight is a whole lot less than the weight we had over here. With those term insurance expenses, with that ginormous base premium, we've got lower expenses and we carried them longer too. We covered it more or less by funding the policy. So if we look at a simplified version of the comparison, without all the extra columns, this will just show which one has the most money. Who's the winner when you look at these side by side? Well, the immediate winner is where you see yellow. The example to the right, you got your money back by the 4th year. How about by the 10th year? Well, the option to the left, you don't even have your money back. You're at $285. I would not do this. The middle option is the year you get all of your money back. But over here, look at this. You're at $373,000. If we look at it by the 20th year, middle option, you're at $450. Your death benefit's $570. The option to the right, you're at $554,000. That's more than $100,000 with the same product just by having a different setup. See where that design is so important and where it makes sense to spread it out? The death benefit is also about $130,000 more. And if we scroll down, we'll see that gap just widen over time. So why are 4 payments sometimes better than 1 payment? The answer is because we can have a lower premium. We're covering the premium for several years. We have a lower death benefit because if our annual amount that we're paying in is lower, we don't need as much mech space. Remember that the death benefit has a direct relationship to the mech limit. So we're able to have lower expenses, we cover the expenses for a longer period of time, and then by the time we stop funding, the cash value is just cooking and it can easily cover those expenses for us. So with all of that said, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, please feel free to DM me, or you can leave any questions below in the comments. I do check them out. And as always, I hope this helps. Thanks so much.